Oh, you're drumming.
Oh,
Okay.
little beatboxing. No. Oh man, we have a special guest on the pod. Mike Robinson from Food on Tour is with us.
the temporarily defunct podcast.
Great pod. It's
Kids
happening.
Having a kid is a wild ride.
Oh yeah,
Indeed. No pod is ever truly dead, though. That's the trick.
Yeah, I
True.
mean, now that shows are starting to kind of filter back into, it's like, oh shit, like I haven't done that podcast like when shows were actually happening. It's fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
it's crazy. So,
Well, soon you'll be back on the county fair tours. All will be right in the world.
Right, Mike. Before we obviously, I mean, if you've listened to the pod, you already know what the movie's about. But Mike, tell us a little bit about what it is, why you're here tonight to talk about this excellent movie.
I want to preface all of this by saying I am not a movie. I don't want to say I'm not a movie fan. I'm not like big on movies. I'm not a movie guy. But That Thing You Do is arguably my favorite movie ever.
Oh,
And I'm a drummer. I think this movie came out the year I started playing drums. This came out when I was like 8 years old.
oh my god.
I think there's
right.
like some weird like deep-seated shit there, you know. In a good way.
I can't believe you didn't wear your sunglasses on the show tonight.
I know, man. Where's the shades?
I mean,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
were a kid starting drumming, though, this is just about the coolest movie you could find at that age.
Oh
Absolutely.
my god, yeah, totally. Because it's like, you know, there was just so much going on in that movie that I was like, my parents were friends with a Beatles tribute band when I was a kid. I mean, they're still friends with them, but
Oh
like,
my god, man.
yeah,
Come on.
and then I was like, you know, when I met those guys, I was probably around the same age when this movie came out, and I was like going to these Beatles tribute shows, seeing all the, you know, the Ringo shit, and then I saw this movie, and I was like, oh, like this, other people can do this, you know.
Right. I can't remember when I saw this movie for the first. I remember seeing it on like AMC for the first time. I remember knowing about it and then seeing it on AMC for the first time and being like, this movie is the best.
It's so good.
Oh, my reaction was the exact opposite.
Oh no.
Because we used
Unenlightened.
we used to do the Friday night video store run, right?
Right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so mostly your parents were picking the shit, and you'd be like lucky if you could pick one, and then we'd split maybe a video game. And so when my mom, it was like, you know, hey, what'd you guys rent? And they're like, oh, we got That Thing You Do. And she showed me the case of these fucking nerds in their suits. And
Yeah,
like
they're
Tom
like-
Hanks has that little like coiffed hair.
And he's like,
And I
arms
just-
are crossed, like, yep,
Yeah, I just
these
remember
guys.
being in my mind like, well, this is about to be the worst fucking Friday night of my life. And so you sit down and you're just fucking pissed. And it was magic because like when that movie came on, I was so geared up in my mind to hate it and tell my mom and dad why I hated it and why they fucking ruined the weekend. And by the end of it, I was completely won over. It's a delightful journey. But
Oh, yeah.
it was
I mean,
it was the exact opposite for me.
I can't tell you how many times I've watched this movie, and I just watched it. My wife and I watched it. What's today? Monday. So we watched it on Saturday, and then I watched the extended cut yesterday. The extended cut is trash. It's a bad movie.
It's a terrible movie. Like, I'm glad they cut some of the things they cut.
I mean, the scenes they cut too is like 90% of the scenes they cut made the characters so weak. You know what I mean? Like if they would have
Right.
left those in the movie, like there's that one scene where Guy is like in the garage and Faye has the bologna sandwich or whatever. It's like, what the fuck is it?
He's such an asshole about it.
It's like an audition tape or something. Like it's so bad.
I have never seen the extended cut. I've only ever watched like the deleted scenes. Like I found them like the one deleted scene we got to talk about later on in the movie. But like other than that, like I found most of it on YouTube. This is the first time I watched it, and yeah, like to me, most of the cuts are to get a certain rating. Like clearly,
Like the
like
dick
there's
joke?
an amazing dick joke at the top of this thing that Lenny just hurls at Jimmy.
And after that, when he's like, whoa, slow down. This isn't a polka. This is rock and roll. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure we can go much further without talking about the amazement of Steve Zahn. Like he just steals the entire movie. Like
almost every one-liner is Steve Zahn.
it's everything you remember about this movie, other than the fact that Tom Everett Scott wears sunglasses. It's all Lenny. Like
Also-
he's so good.
In my opinion, the best song in the movie is a Lenny song.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Are you talking about the
Come
one
on and baby.
Pretty Baby?
Yeah.
Dude.
Man, that's the best song in the movie, and it's
It
a fucking
really
Lenny
is.
song.
Yeah, because it
It's
doesn't
the
come from
best
a
song.
mopey bitch.
Dude,
Okay,
Jimmy's such a
so
bitch.
this is the
Jimmy's
thing.
such
This
a
movie is a
bitch.
classic yin yang, right? Where it's like, whereas Steve Zahn, I heard someone describe Jack Black as this, and it applies to Steve Zahn in this movie. He's what happens if you give your character max charisma in D&D. And you're like, everything he does is great. That's Steve Zahn in this movie. You're like, he's a bard with max charisma 'cause he's so good. And Jimmy is the exact opposite. He is a fucking black hole of joy and misery. And so I think by proxy, Steve Zahn gets to stand on the corpse of this shitty character who just writes these mopey bitch songs.
It's pretty incredible. Like, they do just like make. I don't have. By the way, I have no idea how to say that actor's last name. I'll never know. The guy who plays Jimmy.
What is his last name? Try it.
Maybe Shachich. No idea. Look it up. It's I could not tell you how to say
that
it.
what
Are there
Let's call him
any
Skitch.
vowels in that?
Maybe, I don't know. I think there's an X, to be honest with you.
Let's see. I'm looking it up right now. No!
How do you spell it?
Skate?
Shach?
Skate?
Shach?
SCHAECH.
What is
Whoa.
it? I don't know.
Anyway,
Either way,
back to Jimmy being an
but
absolute
Jimmy being a
sack of
mopey
shit.
bitch. Like, that guy is so perfectly cast because he has this horrifying villain jawline that every time he says something, you're like, you don't mean any of this, bro.
And that stupid
scumbag.
shirt he wears. What's with that stupid shirt? It's like a button-up
Fucking
turtleneck.
button
What is
turtleneck?
that?
Why would you do that?
It reminds me of the fluffy shirt on Seinfeld a little bit.
But that's what I'm saying. Do they just have a store where it's like you have to have certain amount of cheekbones to get in? Like, because I've never seen a shirt like that, and I think it's just because they're like, a fat's coming, close the... And they pull the curtain, and I've never seen the room with the exotic button shirts. But that's what I mean.
Fat is coming.
Yeah, a fat is coming. And they fucking close it down. And it's just... Yeah, I don't understand because he looks like what I imagine Christian Grey would be in those novels my wife read. Where it's
yes.
like he's so handsome, but he feels like he's probably like gonna hurt you, like he's gonna mess you up, right?
Yeah,
And-
totally.
And I don't think that's far off because there's a weird. This movie is such weird inversions, right? Because whereas Steve Zahn is so fun because he absolutely refuses to be in the movie. Right? He is an outside character mocking the movie that we're watching, which is why I think as a young kid, I really latched onto that. Because I didn't want to watch his fucking stupid tunes from the old day. And granted, all the tunes in this movie are pretty kick-ass.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Steve Zahn just also making fun of the movie I wanted to hate was my invitation to like it. And then you fucking hate Jimmy. I don't know what you guys made of Shades. Not a fan. Not a big fan.
Really?
I love him.
I love him. He's,
You know, I think part of the genius of this movie, like I've watched this a million times, and as a musician, like, you know, seeing it when I was a kid, it was like, oh, I want to do that, like I want to be in a band like that. But then I started being in bands, and it's like, oh, they nailed the dynamics of everyone. Like Lenny's the fucking psycho guitar player who's probably high all the time and doesn't give a shit about anything. Jimmy's the fucking bitch ass artist who's just miserable all the time and nothing can be fun. There's always one dude who's sort of removed, being the bass player who doesn't even have a name in the movie.
love it.
And
TV player.
And then Skitch is the he's the old standby.
He's the heartbeat. He's the guy you're rooting for Skitch the move because you know Lenny's going to be fine. Whatever happens to Lenny is fine.
Well, he's a casino or
He's a casino. He's a
motel
casino
manager or
operator.
whatever.
Yeah, in Laughlin, Nevada. He lived his best life. Like he's been married like a million times, and he's just like banging skanks nonstop. Like that's what he wanted.
Living it up. Yeah.
It's
but this
Skitch is the
thing,
one
though.
you're rooting for.
Yeah, totally.
Skitch kind of lost me. He has this weird, like, it reminded me of a Never-Ending Story when they get into the swamp of infinite sadness or whatever. The scene when he's just like, I'm just going to walk into this jazz bar and la la land around. And he's literally pushing into tables and shit. And I was just like, oh, God,
Dude.
no. But yeah, he's just, because it is, this is truly a D&D movie. This is the best Dungeons & Dragons movie. because
The best campaign ever.
Yeah,
This is a parallel I never expected with that thing you do.
He's the Oath of Truth paladin, right? He just always does everything right, except for being an appropriator. And I was like, they did everything right, where it's like he practices hard. He's got the dad who just is riding his ass all the time. You know, he's got the terrible girlfriend, so you want to root for him.
Right.
But by the end, I was like, there's this really weird dynamic that forms with him in Act 2. And I was like, what are they trying to do in this movie? I don't understand that the switch into Act 2 and on sketch.
What's the moment?
I think the moment is when he kind of creepily is breathing on a very sick Liv Tyler.
Oh,
and it's
yeah,
supposed
yeah,
to be like a cute moment, but you're like, you're the new guy in the band. And this is something they set up in the movie constantly, is that him and Jimmy are constantly sniping and undercutting each other.
A lot.
So there is a direct vibe that now our noble paladin is 100% ready to beat cheeks with this dude's girlfriend, all because they're debating tempo. And I was like, there's something more going on in this movie.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like the timeline of everything. You brought up Guy being the new member, and I was like thinking about Phil Horace, the first manager.
Love him.
Yes.
How much fucking money did he didn't make any money. He was their manager for like a week, and then all of a sudden Tom Hanks comes in. Because like at the end of the movie, he's like hanging with Del Paxton. He's like, yeah, we've been together for 2 months. Like the whole movie happens in 2 months.
Yeah,
right.
which is nuts when you realize the timeline.
What's Phil Horace like? No wonder he lives in a camper.
His office. But that's what I wondered, because that's one of those rare
Phil
moments.
Horace's stew metaphor stands alone, though. That is one of the weirdest.
He's the only character in the movie that somewhat does right by them.
Yes.
Oh yeah, totally.
And so it is this weird, because it feels like there's a nefariousness that I'll get into a little more with Mr. White. What an on-brand name, right? Is he's kind of always lurking in the background, right? This fucking devil came down to Georgia lurker in the background. And he always feels like he's duplicitous, right? Phil legitimately feels like a really cool uncle. And it is this weird because he's the first foray into the real business. And he actually doesn't shit on them, it seems. So I didn't know if I missed something, but I was like, that was kind of a nice thing to put in the movie, where it feels like the whole journey is, you know, disillusionment.
Well, I think your point with Mr. White, it just makes me think of the dynamics of everything again, like how the minutia of this movie, like they really nailed it, like with the dynamics, like the gear, like what was going on at the time musically and all that shit. But like when a manager comes around, like if I'm playing for an artist or something and a manager comes around, it's like, fuck, like they're gonna be here, you know. And he kind of has that vibe and there's this weird deleted scene before the Hollywood showcase when he like goes up to Jimmy and he's like, you gonna be Magic tonight? You better be Magic tonight. And like gives him this weird look. It's like, that was like the gnarliest Tom Hanks moment in the movie, I think. But
yeah,
you know, extended cut.
He has a lot of weird little manager moments that I think when he won't talk to Jimmy about any of the music, like right before in the extended cut, they have that scene like where they're doing like the pre-show gala or whatever. And Jimmy walks straight up. He's like, I want to talk about songs. I want to talk about recording tomorrow. And he's like, let's talk about it later. Like constantly putting off the artist. Like that is like that and like the record, like the signing with Mo Green, who comes down the I fucking love Alex
Saul
Rocco.
Seiler.
He's such a creep.
When he's like, who the fuck is
And there's
I was
mustard
dying laughing.
all over
Mustard
his
in his
face.
corner of his face. Oh my god.
I'm here to hint at the puss that I'm taking down, not talk about your
babying
shitty
away from me.
songbook. No, this is the thing though. What a weird decision for Tom Hanks to cast himself in this role. Tom Hanks should have been Phil. They should have had an extra couple minutes with Phil and Tom Hanks, because this is the thing. Tom Hanks is this kind of villainous guy. He doesn't feel right in this movie to me. And he's
I buy it.
But see, he's so naturally charming that maybe that's part of why it works. But
I think that's exactly what it is.
that the nature of him trying to be horrible to these guys never felt right to me. But maybe that's what they're going for, the Hollywood smile and stab you in the back thing.
I never got the like outwardly like I'm gonna be a terrible person to you, but like there's obviously, you know, like he's playing the role of the manager, and I feel like he did it just so well because I don't know. It's just, I agree.
Tom I think it's the Tom Hanks nice is the coating on top of what I think ultimately a manager has to do, which is like the bottom line is these guys have to get into the studio, record covers, then they can record their songs, and then I can make more money.
That's not what he does in the movie, though.
You also have to assume that like Playtone is like the Atlantic of the time, right?
Yeah,
you know, like,
exactly.
like you have to assume that Playtone is like massive. So like,
Right.
I don't know. In my head, Tom Hanks is like top of the top at Playtone under Mustard Face Man. You know. So it's like, okay, yeah, this guy, if this person existed, he's probably sort of an asshole, like inherently an asshole.
Yeah. But there's a weird extra thing with him, right? Because the only thing I kept thinking of him in the movie was Ursula from Little Mermaid, where the Playtone universe is just those shriveled up mer people that are like, whoa. That's like, because every artist we see who's not the Oneders looks so fucking miserable, right? That's like one of the juxtapositions they do. Like even when Steve Zahn plays his awesome song "Dance with Me Tonight," it's wild and raucous. The camera's flying around. It looks fun and energetic. The very next scene is back to the Playtone universe, and it's just a static wide where everyone's like, yep, 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 yep. So he's got this like garden of like used up, shriveled artists that he's just crushed. Here's the thing, though. He's not even a good manager, because here's the question, right? Why are you going to Jimmy's girlfriend and asking her how much she wants to fuck Guy? Remember at the bar when he's like, hey, how long has Guy been in the band, you know? Yeah. Oh, does he have someone? He's specifically planning this seduction scene in her mind. And I was like, is this just a mutiny against Jimmy, or like what is the fucking movie?
I think
Honestly,
this whole
fuck
movie
Jimmy.
is built against Jimmy.
Yes, let me 100% agree with you. Fuck Jimmy across the board. But
this movie is heavily anti-artiste and much more about the experience.
But wouldn't his goal be to get her out of there instead of creating this like love triangle?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, because I am not a touring musician, but most of the time when you're told my girlfriend is here, they're like, all right, well, she can go stand in the audience. Certainly not become the wardrobe mistress for the.
I mean, that whole thing is like, I don't know, is that like a sign of the times or something? Like, is that like a, you
was
know,
that
like
a thing
some
they
weird,
used? Maybe that was a thing they used to do.
Oh yeah, well, I guess she can be your costume mistress. Like, that seems kind of weird. Like, if anyone ever said that about my wife coming on tour for like a couple weeks or something, I would be like, what the fuck?
You'd be like, baby, I got this exotic role playing idea. She's like, fuck you. I don't know, but this. Oh my god, I just pieced it together. So this was a ploy to break up the band by Mr. White the whole time, even though there's this great selling thing. Because one of the things that drove me nuts at the end of the movie was when they're like, Jimmy went on with the shittiest band name ever, the Herdsmen, to have 3 great albums, and he became the next Mr. White. He was grooming his fucking evil replacement, who really looks the part and is probably super sinister. So is that his end game? This is like a devil's advocate. He's grooming a protege.
This is like a prequel to Entourage at this point.
Can we talk about the deleted Mr. White scene?
We should talk about the deleted Mr. White scene, which is
because it's
pretty revealing.
It's really revealing, and like just kind of it definitely didn't need to be. They did the right thing cutting it out, but it's really interesting to like see that and then go back and watch the movie where they just imply that he's a gay man, you know, like with Howie Long.
So I have not seen this. You're gonna have to explain to me
You
in the
didn't watch
audience.
the extended cut?
I saw that it was 2.5 hours long, and I said, no
dude,
way.
it's so long.
It's so long.
I think I'm on record here, not to get all the fucking fanboys yelling at me again. I hate a universe where everyone wants a Snyder cut of movies. Every movie is only made better by making it shorter.
The extended cut. So the extended cut has a scene where basically 2 things are implied. One, that Rita Wilson's character Marguerite is a hooker. I think because she drives him home and like everybody knows her though. The doorman knows her. Like it is shocking, to be honest with you. Like there is.
When I was a bouncer in Hollywood, we used to know a lot of people at other places because they'd hook you up.
Like hookers?
Also, it's the 60s.
Well, no, I wasn't hooking. Yeah,
so,
life made it abundantly clear that was not my skill in life.
Howie Long. So Howie Long is this guy. Like so it cuts to Howie Long.
Wait, the NFL's Howie Long?
Yes, NFL's Howie Long. No, sorry, not NFL's Howie Long. Radio Shack's Howie Long.
Well done.
Is waiting outside in this red, like hot looking red sports car, and Lamar gives him shit for being like parked there or whatever. Guy shows up wasted. He gets dropped off, And then Mr. White walks out and says, "Okay, I'm done. Let's go to the party." Walks to the car.
And he makes the comment about being fashionably late, which I think is like sort of another like point at him being gay.
Right. And then Howie Long drops this bomb where he's like, "Bring him along." You're like, "Oh shit, Hollywood Hills are crazy. Oh my God."
I mean, she does say at the bar when he hears Del Paxton's name, and she goes, "Oh, I lost you, didn't I?"
Yeah.
And I was like, this doesn't feel like a true meet cute. Like, hey, I'm going to get you shit-faced and take you home in my bunny outfit.
Howie Long and Mr. White are on their way to this, like, basically it's a key. They're going to like a key club, a key party up in the hills. They are about to bring Guy along, but I'm trying to like, so obviously it's part of the movie. It's in the extended cut, but like cutting it out of the movie doesn't really do anything good or bad to like my experience watching the film. But why cut it out, or why even have it to begin with in the script? Like, why shoot a scene like that? So I think that's not any sort of like, we have no social commentary in this movie whatsoever, except for that, which is like a guy who's might be gay going to a party. That's it.
Right. And it's like implied that it's happening really late because like Guy's coming back from being at the bar with fucking Del Paxton all night, and like, you know, she comes up to the table and says last call, like it's late. Yeah. And then he comes back to the hotel and Mr. White is like sneaking out in the darkness with Howie Long. So it's like, I guess that's another like sign of the times sort of thing that definitely didn't need to be in the movie, but it makes it way more interesting to like watch back and be like, is this supposed to also be a nod at Mr. White being gay?
Yeah, it's just a strange thing, and a strange like to have it in the script. You're like, okay, cool, but for literally nothing, like there's no addressing like the obvious racial tension in this movie. There is some stuff in here that still makes me uncomfortable when I watch it. Like Lamar being him like, "Hi, I'm Lamar. This is my hotel," and you're like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. There's like a level of discomfort you have to have.
Yeah.
Because there's like,
because he's the guardian angel of the film?
Okay.
He's the It's a Wonderful Life Clarence of this movie.
See, I would go the opposite, and actually, we were talking about this before the pod. I agree with Mike. There's a Devil and Daniel Johnson thing going on here instead.
No. Yes. Didn't you
hear
all the
bells
ringing?
He's going to meet Guy down at the crossroads.
That was it. No, the bells were ringing. He got his wings. He winked at the camera. Wink.
See, there it is right there. He knows what he's doing.
Because those two had a happy ending. He's a Clarence. He's a Clarence.
He's not a Clarence.
I never thought about this. I was just like, why does this guy think it's his hotel? He's parking cars.
We've all had that coworker that's like, this place would fall apart without me. And it's like, you're part-time and calling sick every other day. Like, fuck you.
I worked at Chipotle when I was in college for a long time, and we had this manager who was like so proud of working at Chipotle, and she would like be explaining ingredients to customers, and she'd be like, "My green salsa, my roasted corn salsa," or whatever. I was like, "Why are you calling it your salsa? It's so weird."
I sprinkle a little bits of myself and never back. No, I had this manager when I used to work at the movie theater, and we had a regime change. And he came in hot, and he was like, "You guys are not professional enough." And it's like, well, yeah, we're fucking 16. We just smoke pot and watch movies all day. Like, what are you talking about? We steal the popcorn at night? Like, yes. And he's like, "We're going to run this like a business." He's like, "I'm going to change the face of this place." We're all like, holy shit. This guy is hardcore. This guy is like a very serious businessman. And then one night I was like the late night usher, right? So I'm cleaning the concession stand. I go like clean up. And he must have forgotten that I was working. Because we had this there's like a little Karen station, right? It's like a public fucking platform where you would go to throw tomatoes at people in the old times, right? So the manager can stand there and get fucking yelled at by your aunt, you know, and get free popcorns. And so he was sitting back there, and I didn't see his head because he was, you know, down below the counter. And I walked behind the counter, I guess very quietly, and he's just looking at a website called Penis Puppetry. And so the only thing I see is just a fucking giant rock hard dick that's been made to look like Abraham Lincoln.
That's incredible.
And I just kind of froze. I was like, what is happening? And I just watched him scroll for like a minute. When he turned aside, ah! He was so appalled that like he had
Do you think
caught.
There's movies out there that are like Thumbtanic, but with dicks, like Frank and Dick or something?
Absolutely.
Dick Tanic exists for sure.
Absolutely. Godzilla Kong's got to be a huge boon to this industry right now.
There's a big
no.
Sorkin contingency with a few good dicks for sure.
Yeah,
Like
but
that
that's
is
what
the
I
one
mean.
that exists.
He's just a guy who thought that like our whole company could only survive with him, but he's still taking 30 minutes off to look at fucking penis puppets. Like that is a standard coworker that exists in the Wait, what did this have to do with that thing you do? I don't know. I got to
Because it's Lamar. Lamar says this is my hotel. He's
Lamar
clearly
is not
that
looking
was
at
his
penis puppetry. He is working to make lives better.
or to give someone their dream come true. With
Do you think
strings
him and
attached.
Mr. White are working together? Is that your theory? Is that they're both devils?
I think Mr. White's like a devil of like a person, not necessarily like an actual supernatural devil. I think Lamar actually might be a, under.
See, this is why I'm not a movie guy. I don't think about movies like this.
This is all we spend our time doing.
Yeah, you just got to make shit up.
There's a devil in Daniel Johnson thing there, man. Like,
But this is the thing. If someone's going to be a devil, they have to be gaining from it, right? Mr. White is gained. The Whites always gained back then and this time, right? And so this motherfucker's over here breaking up potential marriages. That's the thing. Who do you think said, careful, girls, he's engaged? Who do you think put that on there?
Lamar.
Mr.
Same person who
fucking
said
White.
you had class.
Yeah. Oh,
No one said that's okay. So that's
But
There it is.
Mr. White
That's
would never have said he had class, though.
No one said it. So like none of them did it. I don't know. What does that mean? What is that line? I've been confused about that since I was 8 years old.
Great question. Because who would have said he
Is
had...
the-
Oh, you know what? No, because that would be implying that Liv Tyler did it, and she clearly didn't.
No one said he had class.
White did it.
That's what I mean.
I
Okay,
don't
so
know, man.
White is telling his girlfriend, right? Hey, Faye, maybe you should fuck Guy, right? Because Jimmy sucks. Which, to be fair, is true, right? And then at the crucial moment when they do their huge broadcast, and not only that, why do they have monitors to see themselves on TV? They should be fucking strumming and shit, right? I was like, I don't know how these old-timey shows
Is
work.
that a thing? Mike, you've done this before, right? You've been on TV performing, correct?
Yeah,
You
we
didn't-
did. We did a few late night shows, and I've never had that.
You've never
You've never
seen
watched
yourself.
yourself.
You've never watched
So this
yourself.
was a
No, I don't
fucking
think so.
there you go.
public execution.
I don't think so.
This was a public execution by Mr. White. Why would he put that in the... Because this is the thing. I really wanted to go back and track it, but I couldn't watch it again in the time today.
Do you?
I don't know that Jimmy has a line in the whole movie that is not a complaint.
Oh, he
Right?
complains the whole time.
He'll show momentary burst of joy because he knows that it's somehow going to feed him, but all he does is bitch. Why would Mr. White put that on the screen except for to absolutely break the back of these men?
Do you
I
think
don't
it?
think he did it.
Do you think it? Okay,
Well,
let's
someone
say,
had to do it.
Let's say he did it.
What are those fucking producers that are in the like
Very
the,
plausible.
in the control room where they're like, "Careful, girls, he's engaged." They're like so psyched about saying it.
That could be some guy trying to earn his check and his title. That absolutely tracks.
Wolfman, too scary.
Yeah, not wrong. Who's just like, you know what? This boy band needs some fucking 38-year-old.
I've always.
I looked him up today. I found him on Facebook.
Is he an actual musician?
Because I was like, okay, this guy's like shredding on bass in this. Like, he's got to be just like some LA hired gun they got for the movie. And I found him. He's like, I forget his name, like Larry something. And now he looks much older. And he's got like some recording studio in LA. But I bet he's an awesome bass player.
That he's
yeah.
a great bass player. See, and that's yeah. I've never understood the appearance of Wolfman is one of those things. I'm like, boy, that is just the wrong guy to hire for this group. It is
Doesn't
shocking.
this all lead you to think that why is Mr. White crushing this cash cow?
Here's my theory. Do you think that he sees is this a managerial thing? Like, do you think he sees the writing on the wall and realizes these guys, maybe he actually has seen other songs or heard other songs Jimmy has written, and he's like, this guy does not have it.
But he did.
He just goes,
He went on to have 3 gold records
That's
with
true.
Playtone.
Okay, but did he go on to have
With
3
Jimmy
gold
and the
records
fucking
under
Herdsmen.
Mr. White? Or does Mr. White
I don't
end
know.
up like homeless at the end of this because he got booted for letting go of the cash cow?
No, I think you have
I-
to cut Mr. White's head off, and then you get his power through the quickening, like the Highlander. Yeah, no, that's the
But
thing, because I
that
think he
to me
comes
is like a
back on.
managerial blunder. That's the idea.
No, because I think what happens is he crushes these guys, right? Because he knows that Steve Zahn is not going to care one way or another.
No.
Right? Ethan Embry's off in the military playing Disneyland or whatever. That's kind of a weird abduction subplot we don't talk about. Where they're just like, come on,
You ever
Splash
seen Mickey
Mountain,
Mouse
meat.
on the fucking Matterhorn?
Bullshit.
That sounds like one of those like Code Red kind of things, right? But yeah, so like he knows that he's not going to crush these guys, right?
Right.
But Jimmy, because Jimmy needs this. Jimmy hates this, but he absolutely needs it. So I think when he says you're in breach of contract, Mr. White lets the rest of them go and just crushes Jimmy. Jimmy comes back on bended knee, right? He's been hooking down with, the jazz bar lady. And he's like, I want to be a herdsman, please, Mr. White.
Marguerite.
Yeah, he sells his soul and becomes one of those little seaweed mermen. And that's what happens. He has a crushed life.
So
because you read that is that he had this great life. But do you think Jimmy's even capable of happiness?
I'm not saying he had a great life.
Well, he was successful. Correction. Yes.
I mean, he was successful for the Playtone universe, so to speak. But like, so he had 3 gold records with some band called the Herdsmen that no one ever heard from. Like,
I see what you did there.
I didn't even mean to do that. But like, that to me is like, I think White knew that the band was probably not going to last past That Thing You Do. Like, that is a fucking.
What about Dance With Me Tonight?
Yeah, but that's a good song.
Dude,
like, there's a difference.
Song.
Like,
That's what I mean. They had fire in their belly.
They have fire, but that's also a Lenny song, and Lenny doesn't take this shit seriously anyways. Jimmy's the only one who takes it serious enough.
Ringo only wrote Octopus's Garden, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you have that one, that's all you need.
Yeah, and they taped it to the fridge, and they were all very proud of him for it. But, like,
Wait, Ringo wrote more than Octopus's Garden.
Yeah.
How many did he write? Like, I thought it was like 4, right?
I don't know. They all suck. I love Ringo. Like, Ringo's like one of my. I fucking love Ringo, but all his songs suck.
When you're on that, what's that super
quick,
radio my dad has, right? That FM whatever in the car. Every time you're on the Beatles station, you're
XM,
like, yeah, XM radio. You're like, what's this horrible song on the Beatles station? Ringo, good try, buddy.
Mike, what were you gonna say?
There's this weird part in the studio when Mr. White's like, your band is in breach of contract, and Guy's like, I'm so sorry, and Mr. White goes, don't worry, no one's going to prison. Like, you really jumped a few steps there, Mr. White.
Dude, first,
no one was. I don't think he was worried anyone was going to prison. I think Guy just thought he let you down.
Oh, you didn't know there was a dead Marguerite in the dressing room.
To prison.
They were setting him up big.
Boy, the sequel to That Thing You Do got real dark. Yeah. Like, there was a outline.
The sequel is they go to jail, and then you're that thing that gets did. That's the sequel.
Oh my god.
I think that's the whole point. Is he lets them out of the contracts. He knows he's got fucking depressed ass Jimmy.
Right.
That's all he needs. That's
well,
all
what else is Jimmy gonna do?
He wants the good part. He doesn't want any of the other songs Jimmy wrote, but he knows Jimmy can play, and he knows Jimmy can sing. He has a voice. So, like, he is Fabian, he's Fabian. So they want Fabian back. They don't need Skitch because he's a fucking lone beatnik from Erie, PA. So Skitch is going to go off, do his own thing, and run the Puget Sound Conservatory of Music and Puget Sound, which I'm like, great, good for him and Faye. That's wonderful.
Andy walks away with Faye. He's the big winner of the movie.
He's definitely the winner of the movie.
Did you notice the weird, like, almost like wife swap thing with Chad and Guy, where like by the end of the movie, Chad is like working Guy's old job and sitting in the living room
and
with Guy's
sitting in the
family.
living room? Like,
this is what gets to my theory that there is some hell play involved in this movie, because Chad, like, Jimmy might be a sad, like, merman weed person at the end. Chad has the all-time saddest arc of any character in any movie.
Oh yeah. I texted Alex about this because what's his last name? Giovanni, is it Ribisi?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it? So when he breaks his arm hopping over the parking meter in the beginning, I always have these weird flashbacks to him dying and Saving Private Ryan.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
He's like on the ground, like moaning, and I just think of when he like gets shot in that stupid fucking battle that Tom Hanks takes him into.
Hear me
Tom
out.
Hanks gets him fucking killed in
You may have stumbled upon the greatest cinematic secret ever. What if this whole movie is Giovanni Ribisi's dying dream or his waiting room to hell moment? Because Mr. White oh, the old whites came in and fucking stole my friends and made them famous. What if this is all Giovanni Ribisi from Saving Private Ryan's personal hell, where he has to watch this other taller, handsome, better drummer take his band, become wildly famous, and get Faye? And he's like, well, the only thing that he has is that Skitch's dad is actually nice to him, and he's never nice to Skitch in the whole, but that seems like a poor consolation. Because in hell there has to be some hope, or else it's not as bad.
So
I think you might have stumbled on. This is a Saving Private Ryan adjacent movie.
I didn't think about the Tom Hanks.
I didn't either.
Parallel,
but that might be the
Saving
case.
Private Ryan Tom Hanks thing until just now.
Wow. Okay.
That might be.
A bunch of young privates getting chewed
well,
up by Tom Hanks, spit back out. That's why no one's going to jail, because they're already in hell.
God.
I think that tracks. I might have to go back and watch that. I think you can make that work.
I mean, I think a Giovanni Ribisi fever dream in the middle of Saving Private Ryan definitely could be that thing you do, and I would buy that.
I also love Giovanni Ribisi.
He's so
I do
great.
too. He's so good, and he does such a good job of
He's
just
so
being
good.
dumb in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why it's like
He's
weird
a true
physical
Chad.
comedy. When they're playing the Mercyhurst College, oh man, Mercyhurst College, by the way, I remember Mercyhurst College really well because I had a lot of friends who ended up going there. But when they're playing the like talent show, and I don't know why, but every time that girl like walks past and runs into his like freshly broken arm, I just fucking die laughing.
Oh, it's so
He
good.
just walks out
It's so good.
because he knows he's been had.
it's true.
But see, that's funny because that also lets you know, this is the other thing you know why he's in hell, is because you can tell that he's on the same page as Jimmy.
Jesus.
He's just Jimmy's little fucking valet. What a horrible, depressing life.
Okay, I have a question.
Jimmy sucks, man.
Can you pinpoint your single favorite Lenny line in this movie? There are so many.
It's probably when I think mine is when he's like, I'm not here with these boys. I got a pig in competition over at the livestock.
Yes,
Absolutely.
That is the best one.
I'm going to win that blue ribbon.
I think when he talks about,
So good.
he's like, we're Captain Biggie and the Sharp Shrimp Shooters.
Yep.
When
they're
that was
at
a good one.
That one's
Oh, I
good.
like when,
Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
Yeah, right. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked when what's his name was getting all pissed off. Jimmy's all mad, right?
Oh,
he's like,
in the
he's like,
cafe?
yeah, these criminals. He's like, they're just making us be in movies and stay in a hotel.
Fly us
and
out
play
here,
around.
let us be in motion
Yeah.
pictures, put us up in a fancy hotel, bunch
Yeah.
of lion snakes.
And then when Jimmy leaves,
Bunch of
he goes,
lion snakes.
he goes, there he goes to write his famous single, "Alone in My Prince."
Alone in my principal, dude. The best.
Actually,
burn.
yeah, that line is like just classic. It's so good. There was this. I feel like all these Lenny one-liners were so prominent in my household growing up too. Like my mom is obsessed with this movie, so it's just like all the time. Even still, like I'm fucking 33 years old. She's still quoting that thing you do when we hang out.
It has great line. That's the thing. Not only is it like Tom Hanks writing this movie is really impressive.
Yeah.
It's very snappy, but it's also just loaded with great actors.
Alex, what's your Lenny line?
My Lenny line?
Lenny line.
My Lenny
Yeah.
line is definitely the blue ribbon line, but second is for sure. Oh, there he goes off to write that hit single, "Alone in My Principles."
There was
Bunch
another
of-
one too when
bunch
Jimmy
of
is being a
lion
real
snakes.
cock and he's like, I feel a little hesitant to sign anything that has to do with my music. And Lenny has a real cracker
yeah.
right there.
Guy
I
in a
forget what it
really
is.
nice camper is
Wants to put our song on the radio.
signing. You're signing. We're all signing.
Oh god, yeah. He is just the absolute fucking
That and they're all
But, like,
drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's another great bit that they just totally glaze over.
Yeah, and he's like, got any threes? Like, you gotta keep
So
your head
good.
on a swivel with me. I'm from here, EPA. I'm back. But honestly, the Lenny line I'll take away that kind of sums up why he's so great is I love at the end when they're playing their gig, and he just looks at Skitch and he's like, "How did we get here?" And he's just smiling and happy. He's not
Yeah.
overwhelmed. He's not scared. He's just like, "Holy shit! Like, I'm on the ride, man. Like, if this is all it is, that's good enough." I thought it's a beautiful performance and character, man.
Yeah. I feel like Lenny is all of
best.
us trying to achieve our dreams at some point.
Yeah, Lenny's definitely like who you want to be,
Yeah.
right? Like
You're
he's
probably
just so,
more
like,
of a Jimmy
carefree and
somewhere
funny.
deep down, but
Yeah, 100%.
you wish.
You're more of a Jimmy deep down. If you're like super nerdy about the thing you love, you're more of a Skitch, I think. And then, if you don't care about anything, I guess you're a TB player.
True.
Everyone's.
So, what did you guys make of Tom Hanks? Might be one of the greatest directors ever because he actually made Charlize Theron hateable, which I did not know. I had never seen that in a movie. I forgot this was her.
Who knew?
Because it does not track in
Wasn't
my
that
brain.
like her second?
Yeah, it was early in her
Wasn't that
career.
like her second movie or something?
Yeah.
It was also Tom
My wife-
Everett Scott's
we were like-
first movie.
Was it
Yeah.
really?
My wife and I, when we watched this on Saturday, we were like looking up all these articles, like facts you didn't know about that thing you do or whatever. And I guess like Tom Hanks made some comment to her in her audition that she was like going to be someone or something.
Nice.
And that
Tom
Mr.
Hanks, the
White coming
tastemaker.
through.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Mike and I found out Villa Pianos is actually up the street in North Hollywood.
The airport?
Yep.
The airport
I
place?
really want to
The
go there one
airport
day.
place. I don't, Mike. I don't know if you ever remember. There's there was a really old. So just for reference, Mike and I grew up around the same area in Cleveland and Akron, but by the Akron airport, there was this like bar, this ratty ass bar, restaurant. I don't even remember what it was called, but a guy who coached my baseball team owned it. And he like set up a party for us for winning something one year, and it was disgusting. Like it was just filled with smoke, and I'm like, there's no reason for 14-year-olds to be here. But every time I see that guy, he's like, I run a bar called Villa Pianos down by the airport. You gotta play. I just gotta have you. All I think of is this like ratty ass
really good.
place that like let 14-year-olds run around and like just guzzle soda and like order free food constantly.
Yeah.
Like it was just.
Well, I'm old enough to
God.
remember when every restaurant just had ashtrays on every table. Like
Yep.
that was a life back then.
Yeah.
That's just how shit was.
Nobody, by the way, none of the
Yep.
four cast smoke, which I think is really fascinating.
Well, because
'Cause,
they're the ideal.
Whoa, I didn't even
the
think about that.
dreamboats, yeah, they're the nice boys.
But Skitch would be a smoker, I think.
No, paladins can't smoke. They're on a holy
But
quest.
he's a jazz cat, man.
No, he's a fucking
He
appropriator.
is a jazz boy.
He's a jazz cat, and he fucking watches lots of Kubrick, apparently. Like, constantly watches Spartacus.
Oh, Spartacus. Yeah, that was a weird motif. I was like, are we supposed to get something out of this Spartacus reference?
Well, that was another like extended cut thing where like all
Came up
these
in the-
scenes with Guy and Tina made the whole thing make way more sense. Alex texted me, was like, yo, the extended cut makes their relationship make way more sense. And I watched it, and there was like this whole thing in the beginning where like he says I'm Spartacus or like making out on the couch or something, and she gets all like fucking like
Super horned up.
so horned up.
Wait,
like,
she gets
because
the wop off the Spartacus?
loves it.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I figured it
Loves
would
it.
be.
And
I
so-
figured it would be dap, dry.
And that makes that scene where she like hangs up on him, you know, when she's like fucking blow drying her hair or whatever. It makes it hit that much harder.
Oh man,
Which
You're just like, oh,
Which
poor
I think
guy.
also has my favorite line read of the I am Spartacus line, where he just like gets real deep with it and like, I am.
Oh,
yeah,
I hate it.
That's when he goes all Bane.
Oh, I hate it.
Way too much.
I was born in the Colosseum.
Yeah,
You only
very
adopted-
Bane.
Oh, Tina with her fucking hair bag. I honestly,
Hair bag.
honestly, I think Tina should have chose the dentist though. I was with that decision. I was like, this is a proper.
Yeah,
life
I was fine
choice.
with it. Dude, dentist was hot, and you got
Dude,
to
that
do it.
dentist.
Was the dentist also Howie Long?
He
God,
looked
Jesus
exactly
H.
like him.
Right?
Oh my god.
With a little Dolph Lundgren aftertaste.
I didn't know that. By the way, I was reading this the other day. I didn't know this. Apparently, so Chris Isaac plays Uncle Bob, who records the symbol. He apparently is also in Diane Dane's band.
Oh, sick. I was looking on the All Music website because I was like, I wanted to know who played on the soundtrack, you know? And so I was like, oh, I can go on All Music and like click on credits for That Thing You Do soundtrack. And they fucking they really went into this. Like Uncle Bob is listed as a producer. All the artists are credited as the artists. Like you click on them and it just takes you back to the That Thing You Do soundtrack.
That Thing
Like,
You
I
Do,
couldn't
written
find
by, the late
Adam
great
Schlesinger.
Adam Schlesinger, which is just that is probably, I think that might be his greatest contribution to pop culture at this point. Like,
Oh yeah. Totally.
I mean, look, my Crazy Ex-Girlfriend's great, but like that song is an all-timer, I think. So,
Well,
not
the
to bring the mood down.
entire movie has to rest on the foundation of a banger.
Do you know that was
That
written?
song is
Yeah.
not an absolute banger. This movie cannot work.
That was a contest. Like they like put out the word to a bunch of different musicians. It was like a contest, and he fucking won. That was
Yeah, there were like 300 entries or some shit, and like Fountains of Wayne wasn't even a thing yet,
no,
right?
like they had just started. I think they had just put out their first record, maybe. But like,
So crazy.
I mean, he's just. I got to tell you though, I really want to hear what the other ones were, because.
Oh, I would love that.
Like, do you think?
I also
maybe,
want to know, there were like some big ass names that probably submitted songs. Like, I would love to hear those.
I feel like definitely maybe a Dave Grohl. Maybe Dave Grohl contributed. Probably a Dave.
Well, probably too cool then.
He's like Lemmy and fucking Zach Wilde, some drummer I've never heard of. Come play in my house. We're gonna do that. We'll call it Probot. Yeah,
I got to find out those other versions. Like, what other songs? Because I was trying to
sure
figure
they
out.
had to go out to like Phil Collins. They had to hit up Elton John.
Yeah.
Like all your classic ballad guys were hit up for sure.
I was trying to figure out though if it was always those lyrics, or it was always the song has to be titled "That Thing You Do," or if that was strictly those guys.
I think the song had to be titled. I remember seeing that the contest was like, you have to write a song called "That Thing You Do." I think that's
Okay.
what I read. But
Interesting.
and I would imagine like because Tom Hanks I think has writing credits on that song. I don't know if it's because he like commissioned it or if it's maybe he like. I would imagine he had like a say in the lyrics at least. You know,
Right.
like it's his
Tweaked
movie.
it. God, we should
Yeah.
restart this contest in 2021.
We should. I want
Like
to hear.
Megan Thee Stallion's "That Thing You Do." I would fucking die of
I would
joy.
actually fucking love to hear that. I'm not gonna lie. I would. Oh god.
Just we're remaking everything. The modern day retelling. This young up and coming hip hop artist facing down the evil spawn of Jimmy, who now has his own fucking Spotify label. Or whatever.
They face off on TikTok.
That's right.
We've done Mike for the month we've done Sing Street, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and Rockstar.
Dude, I fucking love Rockstar.
It's so good. it's insane. Of those movies, and then obviously That Thing You Do. Of these movies, which mirrors the experience of being a touring musician best? Is it this one or is it?
I think That Thing You Do does it best because I also like, especially now having not been on tour for over a year, like we were watching it the other night and there's like that scene when they're in the bar when Lenny's playing cards with the old men or whatever, and it's like these dudes just played a show or they had a day off or something. They're fucking hanging in the bar with everyone they're on tour with. It's like it's so like nostalgic at this point, which sucks because like no one's fucking doing that right now. But you know, like Rockstar is so romanticized, fucking hair metal, like stereotypical rock and roll. You know, where like That Thing You Do is like these are just some dudes on tour that are like their band's happening right now. You know,
Right. That makes me happy. See, this movie is very
I love
accurate.
Rockstar though.
I was hoping it was Hedwig.
The other thing with That Thing You Do is they did such a good job with like gear and everything, and you know, like some of the names they make up for musicians and shit. Like everything was just so
The names are amazing.
dead on with what they're so good. Freddie Fredrickson, Mr.
Okay,
Downtown,
the
like,
Mr.
come on.
Downtown song also in a cutscene comes up earlier in the movie, and it's something that Guy is
Yes,
humming in
I
the
think
car while he's driving.
No, he's like straight up like blasting it, and then he runs into Tina on the streat or whatever.
Because he's like late for
So
a party
good.
or something. God, dude.
Yeah,
He was late for an F sesh.
I really liked that nod to the song early on in the movie. I wish they would have gotten that in there somehow.
Yeah.
Like maybe guys listening to it at the appliance store before opening or some shit.
It does. I do wish that there was more, because like I tweeted this because I was like watching the movie. I'm like, why is there was no follow up? Like, this is like a TV series, man. The Playtone's Galaxy of Stars. You could make a fucking TV show out of that shit.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, because the rest of them are
Absolutely.
sad husk people. No one wants to watch an episode on Mr.
Except for the
Downtown guy.
Chantrellines.
Yeah, Chantrellines
No,
with
Mr.
the TV
Downtown
players
goes
sniffing
home.
outside of their bus.
Yeah, no, he's just in his boxers and his wife beater, hitting his wife, drinking whiskey like, I hate Mr. Downtown! Psh, right?
See,
like it's like
I'd
that.
watch a Freddie Fredrickson episode where he's just hating the fact
Now
that
that I pitch it, that seems very
See,
dramatic.
that seems
No.
pretty sweet.
As soon as you said that, like I was imagining like an animated That Thing You Do series.
Oh,
Yes.
even better.
Oh my God, yes. Oh,
No,
Hollywood, you're welcome.
Sounds terrible.
That's what I think it's really smart though that because obviously there's all this other stuff he wanted to do. I think it's really smart how much they cut out
Yes,
because it helps the whirlwind factor of this, right?
agreed.
Is that
Oh,
the
yeah,
fact that
totally.
you
The
can
movie is just, like,
The
nonstop.
fact that we can never get our feet on the ground mirrors exactly what happens with these guys. Like you said, Ethan Embry doesn't even have a fucking name. Right? They're just like, where's your bass player? So it's just this, this fucking rock and roll fantasy. Run amok. And I think that's to the great credit, right? It's that great line that Mr. White had when, he's like, unplug and run off the stage before the applause dies down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he's like, what about an encore? Run off the fucking stage. And it's like, there is something to that, right? Like, is that less valuable than the old guys that just burn out and are just terrible? Like when I saw Meatloaf in Hollywood and he was so fucking...
What? Hold on. Wait, go deeper.
I would love to.
When did you see
No
Meatloaf
one
in-
wants to be deeper
When
in
did
the
you see
Meatloaf
Meatloaf in
than me.
Hollywood?
Yeah, so I went and saw Meatloaf downtown. And this is the thing. I got lost in the subways because I was high as shit. So I had to walk like a mile in a heat wave. So I got in there, and it was me and the guy from Angels in the Outfield. And my friend...
Danny Glover?
No, God damn it. He's also fights The Rock in Walking Tall. I can't remember. Little blonde guy.
the guy from Band of Brothers.
Yes. So he's sitting
God, I
there,
love
and he
Band
has
of
a
Brothers.
girlfriend with him who looks like she's no smaller than 6'8", 300 pounds. But, like, huge, like a Sasquatch. And so we're sitting there just high as shit, and he lets us sit at the table because we're losing it. Meatloaf keeps having to sit down. He's like, "Rrr, rrr." He's all winded. And so this screen drops down, and it's like a stormy cloud background and Lil Jon kind of rapping, kind of talking to us so Meatloaf can catch his breath and stop shaking.
What?
And then the guy from Walking Tall's girlfriend rushed the stage because she wanted to give Meatloaf a hug, right? Security tried to wrangle her, and she chucked that motherfucker off the stage. And it took like 4
Holy
security
shit.
to bring her down, and I was like, I've never been so high and confused in my entire life. I had no idea what was happening to this day.
I always imagine Meatloaf sort of being like the really like scary monster in Little Monsters. He's almost got like the turtle shell back thing. That's like Meatloaf in my head is that guy.
A friend of mine who's a writer in Hollywood, Dave, he has one of my favorite stories. So he actually used to be Meatloaf's daughter's roommate, right? And
Whoa.
long story short, some
Good Lord.
not great things went down, right? And Meatloaf essentially took to blaming them, and he kicked them out of their house. And I'll never forget this because Dave thought it was like this great sign of rebellion. He's like, we cleaned the hell out of that place. And then I left my Bat Out of Hell album there, but I broke it into pieces.
That's awesome.
So Meatloaf walks into this barren, crystal clean house, and it's just like a shattered Bat Out of Hell on the floor. There's a fuck you to Meatloaf. Oh, man. Yeah. I fucking love Meatloaf. A kiss is a terrible thing to
Meatloaf.
waste. If I was in a band, right, in a movie, that thing you do, a kiss is a terrible thing to waste would be the song that my whole movie was based on.
There are some songs from that era that just like make me feel weird. I feel like a lot of Meatloaf songs do that. And also that song Black Velvet, I fucking hate that song. That song makes me feel so weird.
So, like sexy weird?
No, like I don't know, like maybe that's another like weird deep-seated issue. Maybe I have some traumatic experience I'm like hiding and I associate that song with it. I don't know. That song just makes me feel like creepy.
Maybe
Sort
in
of
a
like
good
Mr.
way.
Downtown.
Yeah, it's like Mr. Down like got that pervy vibe.
How dare you.
Is the song about a detective of some kind? It seems like that.
It's supposed to be a theme song to a TV show.
It's
right?
a theme song. Is it a TV show or a movie? Because it's about a guy. It's about a cop for sure. Because they're talking about like a badge or whatever.
I'm gonna look up the lyrics to Mr. Downtown right now. You think anyone's ever looked up the lyrics to Mr. Downtown?
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I've looked up the lyrics to all these songs at some point.
We've got one guy. This is huge.
Darkness falls and the night
And
is.
the night's begun.
Oh, come on.
Wait,
And you guys talk
for
shit
the
on
man with
Meatloaf.
the badge in the night.
See, there it is. I always thought that was supposed to be like a Mr. Tibbs thing, but I could be wrong.
Wow.
Oh fuck!
What a
man.
song.
I
mean, that soundtrack is just great.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I shamelessly love that thing you do. I think this movie is just like beyond like, and for being the first movie Tom Hanks ever wrote and directed, wow. Like, talk
didn't
about
realize
like
that.
capitalizing on all your powers as a movie star and just being like, hey, we're doing this. Watch this. Like, I think this movie does a very good job of telling a good story about a one-hit wonder band. Like, that is, I think, probably the most valuable thing about it, is it tells this story of how quickly things can go and how quickly things can fade. And I mean, that is what sometimes art is. And that's a lot of the times what, especially like the tub thumpings of the world are, you know?
I mean, they're way better than the
Chumbawamba, baby.
Oneders, but yeah. For
Hey, that's
sure.
Oneders.
That's Oneders.
That's another good one.
Good.
No,
See,
I mean, what I think I
Plenty.
love about this, right, is that it tracks this journey, and you would imagine it would get cynical and sad by the end. But
Right.
I like that it never says that. It's like, even though it is this short run and their band explodes in 2 months, it's kind of what Del was saying, right? Like, just keep playing no matter what. Like, bands come and go. They can't last forever. And what I like about the Wonders, you're like, except for fucking dickhole Jimmy, it feels like the guys in this band really appreciated the journey. Like, the scene I always remember, I posted this in our Discord today, was that fucking scene where she's mailing something and she hears it on her headphones.
Oh, yeah.
And she runs through the street, and they run through the store, and they're cranking the radio. And even dickhole Jimmy slams on his car, blocking traffic, because, you know, always be dickholing. And even he runs in and is excited, right? And that euphoria in that moment, that's where it's like, this is all okay, right? No matter how it ends, they got that fucking moment that so many of us never fucking get, or never push hard enough to even try to get that first step. And you could argue that's the best it is for them in the whole movie. But I like that it doesn't devolve into cynicism.
yes.
I love the way it ends because they end on that, like, sort of like second version of that thing you do. You know, the song playing
Yeah.
is just like this other sort of like hopeful version of the song you're hearing the entire movie that's like a little more like melancholy and, you
You've
know,
seen
just
some
a
shit
totally
now,
different
yeah.
vibe. Yeah. That's another, I like that song better than that thing
Oh,
you do.
you're one of the it's too fast guys.
I read that actually that song is supposed to be a Herdsman song by Jimmy.
Really?
Yeah.
Now I hate it. Now I hate it for sure.
So, I don't know.
Jimmy's like one of those, he would definitely get Me Too'd right now, but it's like separate the art from the
for
artist sort of thing, you
sure.
know?
Hardcore.
I don't even know if he could, because he probably just buries him in his backyard when he's done abusing that sack of shit, Jimmy. No, you know what? It has a beautiful ending, though, because I really liked Guy's arc a lot, right? That it kind of has this beautiful bookend of going down to the basement, playing the record, like pretend, like I used to, you know, dabble in playing. I was never good at all. But just like turning your headphones on loud and just fucking going for it, right? And feeling like you're in it. And then at the end, he gets to fucking jam with Del. And so
Yeah.
for him, it's like, that's it, man. He did
Yeah.
the thing. And so
Totally.
I love that.
Me
Like
too.
the beauty of, if you like, because he even says, right, he hasn't played in a band except for his uncles, but he plays every day. He practices every day. He loves this stuff so much. And I like that, just, you know, I'm here for the journey thing. And that it's
Yeah.
not some fucking super long, drawn out, oh, the Wonders could have been it. Oh. It's just like all right, now it's Monday. Right? Like, back to work.
Back to the
And
next thing.
I love that about it, man. I thought that's
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite takeaways from this viewing.
I don't know how I never really put it together of all the times I've watched this, but like watching it this time, that sort of like full circle, like him jamming to Del on the record in the basement and then him playing with Del in the studio. I never put that together somehow. Like when I watched it this time, I was just like, oh God, that's so good.
Beautiful. Absolutely perfect. Yeah.
It's great.
This is one of those movies that I just sort of like mindlessly watch because I love it so much, you know, and it's like I don't think about it. And this time watching it, I haven't watched it in a long time, and watching it to talk about it, I enjoyed it even more just because I was thinking so much about it, you know?
Yeah. It's a good movie to just sit there and actually think about sometimes. Even though it has
so
like
good.
no need for it, but then we can do stuff like this. It's the beauty
Just
of the
like
movie.
Rockstar.
Just like Rockstar.
I mean,
Who'd you guys do Rockstar with?
us,
Just us.
Just, oh man, you guys.
We don't
you
know
should've
enough
gotten
rock
some-
stars, yeah.
You should have gotten someone from like a Poison tribute band or something.
I used to know the guys who were in God, what's that fucking band that always played on Sunset at the Whiskey?
Oh,
Were they
God.
called Steel Panther too? The cover band.
Yeah,
remember?
Steel Panther, yeah.
Steel Panther.
Yeah, I used to. They were pitching a TV show at the studio I worked at.
I legitimately thought you were about to say
Wow.
Alter Bridge, and I was be like, well, funny you should
hell
say
yeah.
it.
Oh, the steel. My kid would fucking shit in his non-existent diaper.
Dude, we're doing festivals this fall with like Seether and shit.
Oh my
I didn't even
God.
know they were still a band.
Okay, so me and my wife have seen Seether probably 6 times.
Come
Not,
on, man.
not like on purpose, but they were just in
Yeah,
that
right.
like in the Midwest. you thought you got me? Fine. I have 8 T-shirts. No, I'm just kidding. But I probably do own 4 of their CDs actually, somewhere deep in a dark
Jeez.
corner. But no, they were just like on that Midwest tour when the new metal thing cracked. They were just one of those bands that were always guaranteed going to be, if there was more than one band playing at a show, Seether was always like the second or third band.
Totally.
So I saw them
Always.
so many times.
And like Theory of a Dead Man or something.
Oh God,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
all of them.
Mudvayne is making a comeback this year. I don't know if you guys saw that.
That means Power Man 5000 is not far behind.
I fucking hope so, dude.
I unabashedly, me and my wife did the going back and being like, no, you had worse taste in high school. No, you did. And I remember being like, yeah, this was like real shitty, like testosteroned up, you know, lifting weights before school music I was in. Like Korn. I was like really big into Korn. And
I
my
love
wife,
Korn.
we played Korn for my kid. And we played Freak on a Leash and he could not stop laughing. And he just
How
goes,
old's your kid?
Yeah, he's 6. And he just goes, Dad, why is he talking like that? He's like, dum, 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 dum. And I was like, Hunter, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that at one point, us as a collective species said, that's bad ace. You know, like
Yeah.
we were in. We were so
Okay,
in.
here-
And it's
I
still
will
cool
say-
to me.
Got the Life. When's the last time you listened to Got the Life?
This road trip.
That song is fucking cool. Like, there's like a dance beat on it.
Yes.
Like, that's sick. Like, for a new metal song to like bust out a disco beat, that's so sick.
They
And
died
it's
to
heavy
me
as fuck.
when they did that cover of Lowrider.
Oh yeah,
And I was like, whoa, boy. I was like, I got to rethink this. But like Korn's originals? And this, now we're just getting music.
Korn's
nerds.
originals.
Now we're just, yeah, Korn with a K's originals. Now we're just getting, I was a Children of the Corn. It's fun. Now we're getting music nerd. But Jonathan Davis, who is the head of Korn, wrote the music for my favorite movie soundtrack ever, Queen of the Damned. When he wrote these
Whoa.
like new metal, like vampiric power ballads. But because of a record dispute, he couldn't sing them. So they had Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, David Draymond from Disturbed, Wayne Static, like sang Jonathan
Awesome.
Dable Korn-style vampire epics. So
That's
Queen of the
so
Damned
wild.
soundtrack. It's fucking awesome.
I'll have to listen to that. I've never
Shit.
heard
Now I
that.
gotta go listen to Queen of the Damned.
Now
I
gotta
feel
go
like
listen
there's
to
a
Korn.
chance you're going to be
Korn.
like, that guy lied to me. But at a time, that was my favorite album I owned.
That's amazing. I could talk about new metal all day.
Mike,
Yeah.
do you have anything to promote and talk about and tell us all about before we finish this off?
You already mentioned my defunct podcast.
It's not
It's like
defunct.
Jason Voorhees. They never die.
It's lying in wait.
Not really. Not much. I mean, this fall, hitting the road with a new band called Blame My Youth, which will be sick. It's like one of my best friends, and I'm playing drums on it.
Awesome.
And we're playing a bunch of rock festivals with Seether, and, you know. No, it'll be cool. Like, Nine Inch Nails is on one of the festivals. Metallica's
Oh,
on.
hell yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
it'll be sick. So
fucking
it'll be
great.
pretty awesome. And Mudvayne's on one of them.
Come on.
But
But yeah, check out Blame My Youth. Blame My Youth's tight. You know, it'll be fun.
I have listened to it. It's you guys are very good. So,
Thanks, man. I didn't play on any of the records. I can't take any credit for the recordings, but
well,
I'll be playing.
they're
live.
very good. Hopefully you can live up to that.
You're the Wolfman of the
You're
group.
very Wolfman right now.
Yeah, totally. I'm just coming in, think I can handle it, Junior.
Yeah, you're gonna Scott Pell your way into the recording studio.
I am playing my first show in over a year in like 2 weeks, and it's at Red Rocks, which is going to be insane.
Holy shit!
Yeah, where are you guys
I'm
touring?
psyched
Are you
about
out
that.
west? Are you doing like a whole country?
The Blame My Youth stuff we're doing, it's just a bunch of fly dates right now. I don't know if we're going to connect those shows. Actually, those aren't even, I think those get announced like later this month. So hopefully we'll have more information, but I would assume we're going to play some shows in between.
Awesome.
But I'm playing Red Rocks with this band called Delwater Gap. It's like an LA band that's,
Sweet.
just friends of friends. So
Fuck yeah, man.
it's
Great.
sick to see music's
You keep
coming
hanging
back.
out with Seether, you'll be in my neck of the woods, and I'll come see you.
Dude, you know what? I'm definitely going to end up in Indianapolis at some point, I'm sure. That seems like a rock
And
festival
I'll
town.
be there. I don't know if my Seether shirts fit anymore. We'll have to find
Oh man, Mike, thank you so much for being on the pod,
Thank
man.
you,
And
Mike.
thanks for coming and talking about that thing
Dude,
you do.
thanks for having me. This is again one of my favorite movies of all time.